Morning and welcome everyone to SPEER's 5 and 5, where we ask one expert 5 questions in about 5 minutes or so. Today, we are incredibly honored and excited to have State Senator Sarah Eckhardt here. Thank you for joining us, and I'll give you a moment to introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Noah. I'm Sarah Eckhardt. I am the state senator for the Central Texas region. It's most of Travis County and all of Bastrop currently, but with redistricting, it will be exclusively inside Travis County. Previously, I was the Travis County judge, and I consider myself a public servant for the whole Central Texas region.
Excellent. Well, we'll go ahead and get started then, and I think that's a great place to start off. I always like to ask public servants why, a little bit about their background, but also why they decided to go into public office and public service.
I've always really enjoyed public service. I like solving complex problems and looking for ways to bring folks together. So I started out as a prosecutor in the Travis County Attorney's Office, and then I became a commissioner on the Commissioner's Court, and then I was the Travis County judge for a while. And I decided to move up to the state level, ask the electorate if they would move me up to the state level, because so many of our bigger issues, we were doing some really good work locally, but we were having a difficult time breaking through to state policy that would help us. Sometimes there was state policy that would actually hinder us.
I absolutely understand, and actually kind of leads us a little bit into our next question. Obviously, there was some legislation that you had filed in the 87th regular session. I know there were several other sessions afterwards, so it's kind of hard to keep them on track.
It's a
Absolutely. And so this particular piece of legislation was Senate Bill 243, and that was aimed at increasing the state's utility energy efficiency goals, or the EERS, to 1% by 2025. And so can you explain a little bit about why you believe energy efficiency is perhaps the right move for Texas, and kind of how important it is to Texas?
Well, the easiest way to increase our overall capacity is to decrease our demand. That's the cheapest way for us to inject some more resiliency in our capacity. We certainly need to bring more energy sources online, but at the same time, if we're pushing for efficiency on the demand side, then we will have the biggest bang for our buck, frankly. And Texas was the first to have a statewide energy efficiency goal. We blew past it pretty quick. And so as with all goals, we should come back and look at them from time to time to right size them so that they continue to be a motivator rather than a dusty relic that we've already blown past.
I couldn't agree more. And I know that the last time the rules or the utility goals were increased, I think was 2011. So it's been over a decade since they've been increased. And you mentioned reliability and resiliency. And I think that, most Texans still remember Winter Storm Uri. It's at the front of everyone's mind. I know me personally, this past winter, I was very efficient and started, turning off my power and lights as much as I could to try and conserve as much as I possibly could to avoid a repeat of 2 years ago. So all the while, we know that Texas is going to continue seeing more and more extreme weather events, both in the summer and winter now. And we know that the state agencies have been mandated with some weatherization and different changes that need to be updated through SB3 and other pieces of legislation last year. But I'm wondering if you think those changes are going to be effective or currently effective in increasing reliability, or if you think the state could possibly come back and do more.
I think the state can and should do more. And I also want to be mindful that I have often said in my public service career that we want to bend the machine and not break the machine. There are a number of regulatory frameworks that are on the books now that are not currently enforced. With regard to abandoned wells, for instance, methane flaring, and various other things. So we need to enforce the regulations that are currently on the books. And we also need to take a look and be mindful about the regulations that are necessary to build in resiliency long term. And I think weather resiliency is key. Many of my colleagues don't want to talk about the fact that we are experiencing increasing weather extremes and that that's likely to be ongoing. We are seeing high winds across the southern United States and the western United States. We know we are going to have wildfires and droughts over the course of this summer. Those are increasing. And then in the fall, of course, we're likely to see more hurricanes. And in the winter, we are likely to see more extreme weather events with cold freezes and the Arctic blast coming down our way more often. So we really do need to take a look at hardening our infrastructure, our energy distribution infrastructure, as well as our water distribution. Those are probably our two key utilities that really need hardening right now.
No, absolutely. And I think that especially that intersection is something that SPEER has started to look into a lot more. And I know a lot of other organizations have been really focusing on that water nexus and utilities and electric. So definitely incredibly important moving forward. Given your background, as you mentioned, kind of the county level, I'm really excited to hear this response. But what role do you see cities and local governments and counties playing in advancing energy efficiency and other resiliency and reliability programs across the state?
Well, I am blessed to be in a district in a region that really has the full spectrum of energy providers. We have a municipal utility provider, we have cooperatives, we have the quasi-governmental entity of the LCRA, and we also have private providers like Encore. So we really see the full spectrum. And I think that our municipal providers are a very interesting lab for how we can get to energy efficiency and long-term resiliency. Many of our municipal providers, like Austin Energy, have the latitude to do some experimentation that is absolutely necessary. And for those experiments that work, we need to scale them statewide and then build appropriate regulation around them for our private providers. It's always been an issue with regard to those common pool resources, like our energy sources, like our water sources. It's difficult to bring the state around to a regulatory regime recognizing that they are common pool resources. If we strictly look at it through a supply demand commercial frame, we will have waste. And ultimately pay a very, very high price for some dire consequences. So I really enjoy working with Austin Energy and with the LCRA. I enjoy working with Bluebonnet and the Pedernales Electrical Co-op. I think that those organizations have a lot of incentive to find a workable balance between demand and efficiency. And I'll keep working with them, looking for things that are scalable statewide.
Excellent. So we like to end our 5 and 5s with a little bit more of a fun question, kind of just to bring a little bit more personality into it. And one I always like to ask people is, do you have any hidden talents, especially from a public official, that maybe your constituents or the people of Texas aren't aware of that could really help you as you move forward in your political career?
I didn't see that on the list of questions.
Oh, sorry. Well,
hidden talents. Karaoke is fun. So anybody wants to karaoke, I'm down with karaoke.
Well, I will save you my voice. It's not much of a karaoke voice, but I'm sure some of your constituents might have to take you up on that.
I'll tell you, my go-to song is These Boots Were Made for Walking.
That is a quality go-to song, and I'm sure it gets the karaoke bar going. So, well, thank you so much, Senator Eckhardt. We really appreciate your time, and I think I speak for everyone who will be viewing that we look forward to seeing what comes out of the 88th legislative session and some of your work. Thank you.
Well, let's make it a productive one, and let's make it an infrastructure session, shall we?
I'm all for it. Absolutely.
Let's make it an infrastructure session and all about hardening our infrastructure and making it more resilient and the distribution of our resources more fair.
I'm excited for it. Let's get going.
Yeah, me
Thank
too.
you so much.
Thank you.